All right. Welcome, everybody. We appreciate you guys joining us again for another edition of our Member Spotlight. We are joined. Our guy Brian just showed up. We are joined here today by Caleb Kupa and Brian Burton. What's up, guys?
What up?
What's up? Glad to be here.
Good morning, everybody. So we're going to start with Caleb. Brian, we'll come back to you in about 15, 20 minutes or so.
That'll be good. Caleb's the best, man. Rock out, Caleb.
Sure. So, Caleb, how are you, man? Good to see you.
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me. I'm just I talk to our coach all the time. We're just happy to be back in the gym with our guys. I mean, not being able to get in some work with them these past 4 months has obviously been really tough, but we're fortunate enough where we've been able to get back with them for 5 or 6 weeks and just get some work in with them. Our point guard committed to Florida State on Sunday, so that was a really big day for the program. So we're riding on a lot of highs right now throughout these tough times.
Nice. Very good. All right. Well, I'm excited about today's member spotlight because both you, Caleb, and Brian are two people that I don't know that we really knew each other at all before, this off season and coronavirus and rising coaches, and really got to know you and Brian both quite a bit because how active you guys are in the community and, all the content that you guys are hosting. So, it's fun to kind of spotlight that and crazy to think all these people that we know now, we didn't know, 3-4 months ago.
I know it's crazy. I mean, you try and look at the positives. We always had that next play mentality with our guys. And I think I just embraced that with coronavirus. So it was just another opportunity to learn and get better and continue to meet influential people within the basketball profession. And it's been a great opportunity for me. So I'm really glad that I've been able to take advantage. I mean, I know a lot of people talk about during the season, it's tough to engage in all the things that you guys are putting out through Rising Coaches because we're so busy. And I mean, I teach. So I'm teaching during the day, going to practice afterwards, and not to be motivated. But when you get home from those long days, it's tough to hop on a Zoom call and try and learn about a 2-3 zone or kind of learn about some culture that a coach is coming on to talk about. So it's just been really good to kind of buckle down and really, really get better as a coach throughout all this. So it's been great.
No question. And we'll get more into what you're doing with your content a little later. But first of all, tell everyone where you're at. Tell everyone where you coach at.
So I'm an assistant coach at Westtown. Right now, we're the third best high school team in the country. So we got a lot of great guys coming back. We have 3 5-stars. Derek Lively's a 7-foot 5-star. Frank Kepning's a 7-foot 5-star. And Jalen Worley, who I talked about earlier, he just committed to Florida State. So we got a lot of great talent. And I think it's even more so. We have great guys. These guys are in the classroom. They're constantly working to be great people, to be great students, and they're just blessed with God-given abilities to be successful on the basketball court. So I mean, it's been a great opportunity for me. We have so many college coaches coming through our gym to recruit our players. So I mean, as a young coach trying to break into the business, that's been great for me to kind of be the touch point between some of the assistants and head coaches recruiting our guys and build some relationships with them and kind of just offer some insight being around all these guys. I think it's fun. It's just funny being around all these high-level recruits. I was never around this level of basketball when I was in high school and college, and just being around them and realizing that they're just like any other high school kid. They love to be on TikTok. They love Snapchat, Instagram, all the same things that I was doing in high school. They do the same thing. So it's just been a really eye-opening experience being around high-level coaches, high-level players. And I just got to give a huge shout-out to my head coach, Seth Berger. He's one of the best in the business. It's really taking me under his wing and helped mentor me. He's a great guy that I look up to for advice, and he's just helped me so much in trying to get into the college ranks and be successful in all the things that I'm trying to do. So huge shout out to my head coach, Seth Berger.
Yes. Always give the boss a shout out. Always good business. All right, Caleb, how long have you been there at Westtown? This
is coming up on year 3. So 2 years under my belt, going into year 3 now.
Okay, so let's go back and tell us your relationship with the game of basketball growing up and, when you decided you wanted to get into coaching.
No, definitely. So, I mean, I think basketball was kind of just ingrained in us. My uncle played overseas. My dad played at the University of Pittsburgh. So I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but both my aunt and my mom kind of married into basketball families. So my brother, my 2 cousins, we all played basketball. I have 3 sisters that 2 of them play basketball. So it's just been a family thing since growing up. I mean, it just really brought us together. I mean, long road trips with your parents, talking about all kinds of different things and the things that basketball can take you. I mean, that's a perfect example of how a walk-on D2 basketball player like me can end up at a high-level high school at like Westtown. So, I mean, it's just been great. I was fortunate enough, Billy Lang at St. Joe's, so he's the head coach at St. Joe's. His dad was my high school coach. So Bill Lang was my high school coach, and he was one of Seth's mentors growing up in the business. So, I mean, I think that just connecting the dots, you never know the connections that people have. And if I would have been a bad player or I wasn't a good program guy, there's no way Coach Lang would have recommended me to Seth for him to hire me. So I got to give another shout out to my coach at Westchester. He kind of gave me the advice that guys try and get into coaching after college. And since I wasn't going to play at Westchester very much as a walk-on, he said, we'll try and get a 3 or 4 year head start on some of those guys. So I was coaching at a high school in Westchester, a girls varsity team. Another shout out to Coach Lestrani. She gave me my first head coaching position at Westchester East with their girls team. And just went home to see my brother play, was talking to Coach Lang, and he said that Seth had an assistant step down and that he was looking for another assistant. So he made a phone call, went up to campus and interviewed with Seth, and we've been going strong ever since. He hired me on the spot. And I just got to say that was the best decision that I hope he's ever made, and the best decision I've ever made accepting that job, because again, the things that I've been able to learn and grow through my experiences at Westtown have been unmatched. So, I mean, it's just crazy how it comes full circle. And again, you never know how well people are connected and who knows who. And like I said, you just got to make sure you're always doing your job at a high level. I mean, it's tough because in my situation, there's no way that as a player I knew I wanted to coach. But if I still would have been a bad player or a bad program guy, like I said, there's no way Coach Lang recommends me to Seth. So you just always got to be taking care of business and producing at a high level, because you never know who's connected and how those are going to help you later down the road.
No question. You never know who's watching, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So speaking, since you brought up you as a player, we gotta get to it. The $1 million question. We need the scouting report.
Scouting report was tough, really good defender. I think I kind of say I was a 3-and-D guy before it kind of became an NBA thing. So I was a 3-and-D guy, always guarded the other team's best player. Was able to stretch the floor, get to the basket, could put it on the deck a little bit. I think it just had a great journey. So I played on the freshman team my freshman year, played JV my sophomore and junior year. So I wasn't able to play with some of my buddies that junior year on varsity, but I just continued to work. And senior year, I kind of all paid off, and just that hard work over those 3 years. And coach just realized he couldn't keep me on the bench anymore. That I'd continue to develop and got better, and I was able to contribute that final year. So that was a really great experience for me, just going through adversity. It's tough when you're not playing with your buddies. I wasn't even sitting on the bench at varsity games, so I was watching my friends play from the sidelines with my parents. So just not being able to take part in that kind of thing was tough. But that adversity piece was huge for me, and that's just something that I taken into the coaching game, that things are going to be tough. I mean, a lot of people think that coaching at Westtown is all fun and games, but it's tough when you're managing high level guys, and we're playing college level dudes. Like we played Terrence Clark, who's going to Kentucky this year, and just trying to find a game plan to scheme against him and take away some of the things that he's amazing at was tough. But I mean, that's part of the game, and that's how we all get better. So it's been a great experience as a player. But just glad that adversity lesson really hit home for me as I continue to grow throughout this business.
No doubt. 3-and-D guy.
3-and-D
I love it.
Yep.
Did you play on the wing, or what position?
I played on the wing. I was like a shooting guard. I was a shooting guard.
You were too. Okay, got it. How were they handled? Like if they were pressing, were they confident you bringing the ball up, or no?
That was a little shaky. Okay. Wasn't very good, but I could do something on the wing. If I had to get to the basket, a straight line drive, I could take care of that. But anything else, Coach Lang wasn't comfortable with me putting the ball on the floor to press. So I was the middle guy, just pass it and get it back to the point guard. So that was my job.
I love it. Okay, so this is the Westtown job. When did that go through while you were still in undergrad? Is that when you got hired, or is it right after you graduated?
So I was a coach at Westchester East my junior year, and my first year at Westtown was my senior year. So I was still an undergrad, and I was actually student teaching as well. So there was just a lot of stuff going on, taking classes, student teaching. So it was tough to manage, and especially be my first year around high level basketball. Again, I had never been around that level of basketball before, so it was tough to manage. But I think one of the great things was, since I wasn't really able to help the players basketball wise, like I had never even heard like icing a screen or blitzing a ball screen. I'd never heard any of those terms. So I just got to know them as players. So they knew that I cared about them. So coming into year 2, when my basketball knowledge really took off, they knew that I was looking out for their best interests. So I mean, I think that first year was amazing. Just because I wasn't able to help them basketball wise, I got to know all of our players as people and players and individuals, so that in year 2, year 3, year 4, however long I'm at Westtown, they know that I'm looking out for their best interests, and anything that I give them is to help them get better. So it was a great experience. Definitely tough to manage, but I feel like the time management piece was good, especially in this business. You got to be able to juggle a lot of things. So good experience overall.
Yeah, that's great. We talk about like getting your start at the high school level. You know, I know so many people that ask for advice how to get in and all that stuff. They're so consumed with like, oh, I want to be at the high major level. I want to be Division I. They're like, you know, a lot of times they're like players, like it's like D1 or nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Which like I got my start at the D2 and JUCO route, and there's just something to be said for starting at a lower level where you have to wear like so many hats. Have you found like, obviously that's all you know in terms of your start, but like, have you found that to be super beneficial and probably more fun because you're like making major impact where you're at?
No, definitely. I mean, I think at Westside, I'm the youngest assistant. So a couple of our other assistants have wife and kids. So sometimes Johnny has to do math homework. So they can't always get to every practice. So sometimes I got to sweep the floor. Sometimes I have to wash the jerseys if our equipment manager isn't. If we have a weekend game or a back-to-back, I'll take the jerseys home and wash them in my apartment. So I mean, it's just so many different roles that I've been able to have here at Westtown, because we have a high level program with a high school budget. So it does get hard to manage some things sometimes, but that just is more opportunity for me. And I think it's such a great experience. I think, again, people do want to go to Division I level, but I think it's better to kind of get your feet wet, because I think a lot of the times people will get to that level and not know what to do, and they burn out. And if you can't be successful at that level, it's going to be super hard to get back into that level. So build yourself up, build up your acumen, whether that's X's and O's, recruiting, whatever the job that you're asked to do it at a lower level, become successful, get some success under your belt, build up a resume, and then move on to the D1 level. I mean, obviously that's all of our goals, but if you get there and you're not successful, it's going to be super tough to get back to that level, and produce at a high level. So take your time, don't rush it. I mean, it's pretty easy for me to say, when you're coaching guys that'll be in the NBA, a lot of the times we would beat some college programs. But I mean, at the same time, it's been a great experience in the little things that people don't realize. Washing jerseys. If you don't have jerseys, your high major guys can't play against other high major guys. So if I don't do that, then we can't play. So I mean, I just think that there's so many little things that people don't see about the business, that they want to rush and go on the road and recruit and play in those NCAA tournament games. But unless you're taking care of business before that, you can't get to that level.
Excuse me, I had to sneeze. All right, so you just like referred to it a few times, the high level talents you just have there at Westtown. Talk about like coaching that caliber player. What is the difference? What's the key? Those two things. Like, what is the difference between coaching high level, like high major talent dudes versus, like a good player at an average school? And then, so the difference and the key to coaching that caliber.
I think you got to be prepared. These guys are performing at the highest level, and they can kind of call you out on things if you don't know what you're talking about or if you're not prepared. So we have a group message, and we're talking in that as coaches every day, hours at a time, preparing what ball screen coverage we're going to work on, what's the counter to the ball screen coverage if they blitz and they take away the short roll, or if they ice, hit the pop man. So we just have to make sure that we're always on go as a staff and always have things ready. But I mean, I think a lot of the times we're fortunate enough where we've built such a successful program, we can kind of be selective in who we're bringing in to our program. So a lot of the times you might have a hothead 5-star kid that's not really willing to get coaching. But at the same time, again, we can be selective, and we can maybe take a 4-star or a 5-star that is willing to get coaching. And we can talk to coaches prior to kind of see what kind of person they are, We're huge on academics. This season, we played Brewster Academy, arguably one of the top 5 high school teams in the country. And we have a wing that's at Pittsburgh this year. He's going to be a freshman, and his grades weren't up to par. He wasn't taking business in the classroom, and we didn't let him play in that game. So we're really serious about academics. And if you're not handling business in the classroom, you're not going to perform on the court. So I think it's a little bit easier in our case because, again, we can be kind of selective in who we're bringing to campus. But, I just think being prepared and again, just caring about the kids, it's tough because they have so many people in their ears, especially on social media. These guys have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 followers. So they have people in their ears about where they should go to school or how many points they got or how many touches they got the last game. So just keeping a level head and just making sure they're aware that the only voices that matter are the voices that are coming in this locker room. And when you put that jersey on, when we put our coaches' polos on, it's all about Westtown and that name on the front of your jersey, and that's the only thing that matters. So I think it's easy for us because we can kind of be selective in who we're bringing to our program, and we're making sure that we're bringing in high academic, high character, high basketball playing kids. So we're really fortunate in that aspect.
Yeah, it's big time. All right, Caleb, let's talk a little bit about like what you've been doing over the last few months during coronavirus. You've been one of the most active members in the Rising Coaches community, which is awesome. And in addition, you've like started hosting your own Zooms and creating your own content. What's that experience been like?
It's been a great experience. I feel like I've been able to learn and grow so much throughout this, and just hope that the members through Rising Coaches and even open it up on social media. If someone DMs me on Twitter or Instagram, ask for the link, more than willing to send it. Again, being at Westtown, we have high-level coaches recruiting our guys, and being able to build those relationships is key. Tony Bennett was recruiting our point guard and our big man, and he just came into practice and stayed 30, 40 minutes after practice, just chopping it up with our coaching staff. And if Tony Bennett can share information like that, why can't I? Just a young assistant at Westtown. So just wanted to give back. Our head coach always coins this: "Don't be selfish." I could easily keep all this information, Tony Bennett's pack line defense. I'm trying in the works of having Adam Fisher, the offensive coordinator at University of Miami, come on and talk about their potent offense. I could easily be selfish and keep all that information to myself and only use that for our Westtown guys and the staff that I get onto, hopefully, in college. But that's just not the way to go about the business. You want to make sure that you're learning and growing and helping other coaches do that, because then their players are getting put in better positions. And you never know. Their kid takes a charge in front of a D1 coach, and he loves that, gets an offer because of the defensive scheme that coach put in from a call that I hosted. I think that's the best part. So you never know what these calls and what the information that the audience members are able to learn and take away from can help their players. And ultimately, that's been the best part. Just having people DM me, text me, Coach, I love that call with Coach yesterday. I was able to learn so much. I can't wait to implement it in my offense, send it to my head coach. So that's been the best part. And it's just been great for me to get my name out there, just kind of show the versatility that I'd be able to bring to a college staff when it's time for me to make the jump to a Division I program. So it's been great for me, great for the audience, and hopefully it's been great for Rising Coaches. Just again, trying to promote the brand. All the things that all of you have done for me, I can't thank you guys enough. So it's just been great to kind of give back to the community, and hopefully everyone's been able to learn and grow just like I have. So it's been a great opportunity for sure. Yeah,
absolutely. And you've done a great job with it, like we said. Unbelievable speakers that you've been able to bring in and great content. So it's much appreciated. Okay. Last question for you, Caleb. Give us a book or a podcast recommendation.
Book or podcast recommendation.
Put you on the spot.
I'm big with Gary Vee and Eric Thomas. I follow them both on Instagram, and I think a lot of the times they're talking about not worrying about what other people think of you. So both my parents, not to go on a tangent, both my parents are computer engineers. Both of them made a lot of money growing up. And when I told them I wanted to be a teacher and coach, they kind of looked at me sideways. And a lot of the times Gary Vee talks about doing things that your parents want you to do ultimately doesn't lead you to be successful and doesn't lead you to be happy because you're not doing what you love. I love working with kids. I was teaching first grade this year, so I got to be on the lower end of the spectrum where I was looking down on my students, and then I go to Westtown after school and I look up at my players. So just being on both ends of the spectrum, being able to help young people out in both aspects of academics and athletics has been great. And no, I'll never make as much money as they do, but I mean, the impact that I get to make on a daily basis is that's worth more money than they'll ever make in their lives. And I love what they do. I love the lifestyle they were able to afford me growing up. And I just hope that I'm able to kind of supplement that with the impact that I'm able to make on my players and students. And it's just been great. I would definitely say check out both of their podcasts, Gary Vee and Eric Thomas, just constantly keeping you motivated, especially during this time. It's been tough to stay motivated. But I mean, Eric Thomas talks about just having that dog in you. It's easy to fall off during quarantine, but the real dudes and the real girls with dog in them, they continue to get better and help their players out. So I think both of those two guys have had a huge impact on my professional and personal lives and some of the things that I've changed in my life and routine wise and trying to be the most successful person I can be. So I definitely say Gary Vee, his podcast, and Eric Thomas, his podcast have been really great for me throughout quarantine for sure.
I love it. Great stuff, man. Well, Caleb, I appreciate you taking the time today and jumping on this member spotlight with us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. So we're going to bring in our guy, Brian, now.
Sir, make sure everybody's tuned in. This guy's big time. He's going to be a head coach really soon. So make sure he's going to give you guys some gems and some nuggets that you're definitely going to be able to use as you go forward. Brian's big time has been huge in helping me, mentor me throughout this business. So I'm looking forward to what he has to say and all the things that he's going to share with us. So make sure you take care of business, Brian. I know you will.
I love it.
Appreciate the love.
All right, Caleb. Good talking to you, man. We'll see you soon, okay?
Sure.
Brian Burton.
What up?
How are you?
We got a special guest. Come here.
Who's your guest? Who you got with us today?
Denaya. Say hi.
Hi. How are you?
Good.
Good. How old are you?
3.
You are 3. That's awesome.
Turn 4.
I'm about
You're almost 4?
Not really. It's April, but that's okay.
Oh, awesome. Awesome.
I'm going to go rock climb with mommy.
I'm going to go rock climbing with mommy.
All right. Have fun.
Bye.
Bye. All right, Brian.
We met the real star of the family.
Absolutely. So
yeah, one other one taking a nap. So
okay. Well, I got to ask you this before we get into anything else.
Yeah.
So I got a 2.5-year-old, and yesterday was day 1 of potty training, and we were 0 for 7.
That's a good start. At least you got 7 attempts. That's a great start.
We got 7 attempts, and we failed on all of them. So if you have any advice on potty training, I'm all ears.
You know what? We're not fortunate to have a boy yet. Key point.
Yeah.
Boys are a little bit harder to potty train, from what I understand. Girls don't really like being wet or messy or anything like that. So she was really good at potty training.
She just figured it out. Well, yesterday I said to hell with it. We threw the diapers out. And yeah.
So one of my boys had it for a while during quarantine. He just had his son walking around with no pants on for a stretch of time. So whenever he felt like he had to go, they just ran him straight to there. I don't know how it works. He said there was some trial and error, but potty training is definitely a tricky task.
Yeah, we may have to try that today if we go 0 for again. At some point, you got to adjust, right? As a coach, you got to
exactly. You got to make some scouting adjustments, halftime adjustments. The good thing is you're getting your attempts up.
No doubt.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
we're always going to get the attempts up in our family.
I love it.
We're going to shoot. All right, Brian, that's not what people want to hear about, is us talking about potty training. We're here to learn a little bit more about you and your background.
For sure.
Again, excited to have you on here, just like I mentioned to Caleb. I don't know. I think we kind of have spoken before, but we really didn't know each other until this coronavirus period and through Rising Coaches. So it's been awesome to get to know you.
Yes,
and really to see you've taken so much advantage of the platform and that, the opportunity in this moment in time. So that's been really impressive and cool to watch.
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity. I never thought I would be doing what I'm doing, as far as none of us really did, right? I mean, nobody expected the pandemic to happen, so nobody was expecting to plan for it. But kind of like you just said about potty training, you got to be able to adjust and kind of make improvise to be able to figure out what makes sense and We were doing another one. A good friend of mine, Lamont Smith, who I worked with at UTEP, we were just kind of hosting a Zoom just to try to get, same kind of idea, coaches to grow, give an opportunity for different coaches that may not always get to speak and present to do that. And we were kind of doing it off the grid, but we've had some of the same guys you guys have had on, like Jason Stout came on, and Cody Toppert and Adam Hood and Jerome Tang, Alvin Brooks III. We just had different guys coming on, and it just grew and grew and grew. It started with 4 people. We just wanted to talk some ball, and then it went to 19, to 27, to 54. I think the most we had was 90. Had a couple of times with 75 people on, and just saw that there was something that was going on during the pandemic where people still wanted to grow and connect and learn about different aspects of the game. So, and I met Tommy Strine, who's actually in my coaching family with Tick Price. So I still haven't met in person yet either, but he's been great to me as a.
Oh, really? I thought you guys go way back. Like,
I'm a coaching tree guy. So obviously I was at IUPUI. He's from Indy. He was at Lamar. So we kind of connected all year through texts and phone calls and just kind of stayed in touch. And he's one of the best at just always kind of staying inside in mind and reaching out to people. So, it just kind of happened. Was trying to get our director of operations at IUPUI cooked up with him to just kind of get some ideas during the pandemic. And he was talking about the things he was doing with Rising Coaches. I had just joined maybe a couple weeks before and had so much of a positive experience, wanted to pay it forward to a young coach on our staff. It was his first time being Division I. And then I think Tommy you reached out when I became a member, and we talked once. And then Tommy kind of came on our platform over there and was like, hey, you should, they're looking for content. This will be good for you. And so I think we called and talked, and you were like, hey, yeah, let's do it. And next thing you know, I'm still continuing to do it and having a blast with it. So I'm super grateful to you, man, and Tommy for getting us linked up.
Yeah, and just to give the listeners, I'm sure most people know, but
for
those that don't, the platform you're referring to and the content you've been putting out is All Access Coaches Corner. And you guys are putting out, pretty much twice a week, and, on average, you guys are hosting Zooms and having, just like Caleb, having great speakers and great content and building, a community around what you guys are doing, which is what this thing's all about.
It's definitely been awesome to see it grow for sure.
All right, Brian, we'll take us back to the beginning. Talk about like your relationship with the game of basketball growing up, and like when you decided you wanted to coach, and how you made that transition.
Yeah, so I grew up. I have a younger brother and an older brother. My older brother he actually played for Billy Kennedy at Centenary. My older brother's about 6'8", so he got the height in the family. I don't know how that worked out, but I guess I got the speed, and my brother kind of got the combination of – my younger brother kind of got the combination of – I guess he got the strength, I would say. We kind of just always have played, always played in the driveway, grew up playing against each other, competing, and then I played Division II and Division III. I played at St. Edward's University in Austin. So my brother played for Billy Kennedy 2 years. And then Billy Kennedy got the South at Centenary, and then he got the Southeastern job in Louisiana. So my brother transferred to St. Edward's in Austin, D2. I think you've had Ryan Marks on before. He's part of the mentoring program. He was not who I played for. He came after. And then, of course, Coach Cook has done a great job at St. Edward's as well. But my brother played there. He graduated there. I played with him my first 2 years, and then I transferred to University of Texas, Dallas, and played for Terry Butterfield, who we had as a guest on the show. He's won over 500 games. At that point in time, they had never had a winning season. And so I wanted to come home. I really didn't necessarily want to come home. I just wanted an opportunity to play. Like most guys in the transfer portal, it gets to a point where by the time you're a junior, you want to play more minutes. So I was playing some sparingly backup minutes at Division II. We weren't winning. I loved the school, but it was just kind of time. So I played with my older brother my freshman year. He was a senior. So I got to get Hayes quite a bit, which was good. And then my junior year, I came back home. We had a below 500 record, and then my senior year, my whole goal was to have a winning record, and we put up the first banner in school history. And they've now been to 8 NCAA tournaments since. We didn't go to the tournament. We went to the conference tournament and had a winning season. So that was my kind of claim to fame. I was a point guard and a co-captain, so definitely learned a ton of leadership and just figuring out how to get to a program from losing to winning, kind of changing the culture as a player and I've ended up doing it a bunch as a coach through my career. But I played against my younger brother. My younger brother went to Austin College in Sherman, and he was in the same conference. I got a great story. So we were winning. We were a pretty good team. Their team was kind of struggling, and we were winning by maybe 17 or so. It's like a minute and a half to go, and I got played probably 35 minutes a game, so I was pretty tired, but no excuses. And so he's guarding me at half court, and like everybody's standing up, like, trying to see, okay, what's the brother going to do? And I see my sub over there. I'm just trying to like run the shot clock down. Like, we're probably not taking a shot. Who knows? And so I go to cross over, and going back to the driveway, he kind of sat on the move. And so he steals it. And I'm kind of looking like, man, this dude. So I run after him a little bit. He's got a huge head start, and he's so excited that he goes for a layup, and it's almost like a kid in 5th grade. Like, he hits all backboard and smokes the whole layup. So good times. My brother, my younger brother's a head women's coach at Texas A&M Commerce now. He's done an incredible job. They started the year 25-0 last season. They won their conference. I think they were top 3 in the nation most of the year. He's just done an incredible job. He's the all-time winningest coach there. I got to go after one of our games last year. We played at 12 in Indianapolis. I hopped on a plane. They played the same day. They won. He became all-time winningest head coach. They had a surprise party after, and I got to surprise him late that night. So that was really cool. But he's done a great job. So he was an assistant coach his junior year when he tore his ACL more or less. And so he got to be an assistant coach volunteer, and then he recruited the class that he played with as a senior. So he's got a cool story. So basketball is kind of our family. My wife's a volleyball coach. She's been a head coach at Midwestern State in Texas, and also Newman University, both Division IIs. And she now kind of runs a volleyball club and owns a volleyball business where she does all kind of fancy, cool stuff. So I'm like the 3rd best coach in my family, but that's okay. I'm enjoying the ride.
Yeah, it sounds like coaching is definitely in your family. That's awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm sure like your family can't just sit down and watch a game. You guys are probably all dissecting it in different ways and things like that.
And rewinding, everybody's got an opinion. The best is when my wife, before she was my wife, we were dating, she came over for like a Thanksgiving, I think it was, something like that, and we're hanging out at my dad's, and she basically took on me, my dad, my older brother, and my younger brother to try to talk about how volleyball is basically more better conditioned athletes than basketball. And she's like going on this. So she took us all on. That's kind of where she got her initiation. Her famous line about max jumps being how volleyball players max jump all the time and basketball players don't max jump. So anyway, kind of an inside thing, but that's kind of how she got her initiation to the family of, and that running joke kind of keeps going as we go through all the holiday dinners.
So give me your like brief. You've had a few stops along the way. Give me your like brief like rundown of where you were.
Yeah, so I started in Grassroots after I finished my senior year. I had a couple guys that were really good at my high school. We started a Grassroots program. I went back every year and coached the summer league team as a college student, just kind of helping out, giving back, and worked the camps. And so they had 2 really good players. One ended up signing with the late Neil Doherty at TCU. He was recruited by Buzz Williams, and that was kind of the biggest place he wanted to go was A&M. He ended up going to TCU. And then another kid, Anthony Smith, who's still playing overseas, one of Liberty's all-time leading scorers. So I started AU and then kind of got the grassroots level down, and then ended up coaching in junior college at a Division III junior college, Richland College. Then I went to Collin County. So Richland, I think we finished number 3 in the country. Collin County, we were 12. My 3 years there, that's the highest we were ranked. And then I went to Paris Junior College, coached an NBA player in Jonathan Simmons. We were number 6 in the country was the highest we got. And then I went to Midland. Midland ended up being number 1 in the country. And then I went to University of Utah. I've been in 6 different Division I. So I did 5 years of junior college, and I've been to 6 different Division Is. Utah, Abilene Christian, Lamar, IUPUI, UTEP, and Fresno State. So been in a few places. Been in every time zone there is in the United States. So I've been blessed, man. The game's been good to me. I've met a lot of great people. I've worked for a lot of great people. One of my former bosses, unfortunately, lost his job today, Jim Boylan. I worked for him who works at the Chicago Bulls. But yeah, I've been super blessed all the way around. I've seen a lot. I've been able to pay it forward a lot in this platform too, which has been great for me.
Yeah, you definitely have had a lot of stops, a lot of great experience. And, you know, like anybody who coaches long enough, you've definitely seen the ups and downs of the business and the industry. Right. And we've talked about it offline quite a bit, you know, like some of the issues that just exist in coaching.
Right.
What's the biggest thing that I'm going to put you on the spot here. What's the biggest thing you'd like to see like changed about our industry?
Yeah, and I don't know if change is there's some things that may not quite ever change, kind of like our world. But, you know, I just think this pandemic's been really good. So I'll say this I had a conversation with Alvin Brooks III, somebody who I look up to and is a good friend of mine and has done such a great job with his time during the pandemic with his platform, the Be Ready platform. But I think that this pandemic has helped coaches in general. I also had this conversation with Brandon, with you guys, with Rising Coaches at Arizona State. Just more sharing. You know, there's enough for everybody. There's enough players for everybody. There's enough content for sure that we can share with everybody. There's enough jobs, even when there's not. We're just better off when we give and we share. I think that's probably the thing. You wish there was more support for other coaches. You know, when somebody has a successful, Akeem was just talking about this, one of our guests yesterday, when somebody else gets acknowledged by a poll or recognition or gets a good player or gets a promotion, let's just celebrate it, you know, and make it less, even though we compete on the court and we compete for recruits sometimes, and even sometimes we compete for jobs. It's just, there's an ugly part of this business that you just wish didn't exist as much, but that's kind of the way of the world. But, you know, I hope for, and that's what I love about Rising Coaches, is there's so much support and sharing and just kind of paying it forward and just looking for other people, rooting for other people to be successful. You know, you hope that becomes more of a life thing, but definitely in sports, we have a great opportunity to kind of spread that message of love and support and encouragement. And at the end of the day, we all have our own race. You know, we all have our own path, our own journey. So yeah, I embrace all of my journey. I wouldn't trade it. You know, having the highs and the lows. We tell our players all the time. You met my daughter earlier. I mean, you know, I'm gonna have to teach that to her. You know, life's not just gonna be exactly the way you want it. So we all talk about adversity, and we all know that life is 10% of what happens to you and 90% of how you respond. So I would just say more sharing, more supporting, more, you know, less, you know, ugliness, I guess you would say, for lack of a better way to put it.
No, I think that's great. There is, man, there's so much. This is a hard profession. It's like hard enough. It is a tight knit circle, and it should be more of like a brotherhood than like what it is, because there's so much cattiness. Like, man, people are jealous of each other. They're stabbing each other in the back. They're gossiping behind each other's back.
We talk about, or women get categorized as being like catty and drama and, you know, gossip. I mean, our profession is full of a lot of things, you know, and it is, let's be honest, it's a public figure culture. It's almost has its own celebrity culture, because everything you do is public knowledge, whether you sign a player, whether you maybe not get a promotion, but if you get a new title, if you win a game, everything is so public. So, you know, it just becomes, we have so many sites that are just, you know, whether it's Hoop Dirt, which, you know, it can be positive in a lot of ways, but at the same time, we have a lot of gossip culture within our and a lot of ugliness, like you said, cattiness. Just I just wish there's more good, and I think it's starting to happen for sure. The pandemic has been good for more people to connect on Zoom calls and you know, just have real conversations you never ever had with other coaches, because you're always in coach mode, you're always in film mode, recruit mode, scout mode, get a job mode. And so this has kind of slowed everybody down. We can just have normal conversations and realize, like, oh man, this is a good guy over here. Or even if not, you just kind of do some introspection and say, hey, I want to be different, you know? So I love that part about what's happened with the pandemic. I just hope it carries over and the momentum still goes as we go forward, you know, when the pandemic kind of slows down and people go back to playing and being busy. Well, and you also have to it starts also with like being willing to put yourself out there and be vulnerable and not keep this like facade that you got it all figured out and everything's going perfect. Like, are you willing, you know, it starts with like, are you willing to like be real? Right.
And then we can get to a real relationship. But
I think that's probably the hardest part about the business. If there was a second thing I'd say, I wish the business was more real, but there's just so much fake, so much superficial, so much fake love, so much transactional relationships. And as men, we don't ever learn that vulnerability is cool, or that being that honest is a cool thing. Even for myself, it's like, I've been in between jobs before, and I've had that weight of, the mental health and just figuring out my identity. But basketball is what I do, but it's not who I am. And I think I'm to a point now where my wife's talked about this and has ingrained this in me and recently, and that is just, job titles are temporary, but your purpose is infinite. And so that's one of my favorite quotes. Of course, it came from one of my absolute, if not my favorite person in the world other than my mom and my wife. And it's so true, just living for a purpose. I think sometimes we live for the title or the logo on our shirt, instead of just the purpose of why we got into coaching, and I love that about Rising Coaching. Rising Coach is that, the love of the game, you can't hide that when you're in a place where maybe, I'm in between jobs, but I'm loving the idea that I get to pour into other coaches, spotlight other coaches, let them share their story. Again, just pay it forward because of my love of the game. And so whenever I'm serving my purpose, and I was a pass first point guard. I heard you get the scout report on Kupa. So I was a pass first point guard, definitely a guy who could score when I needed to, but really just wanted to get everybody involved, had some leadership ability, kind of rally the troops and get the best out of people. And I think that's what I've done as a coach. But in the end, you get back after you're serving your purpose, God will align you back with the right people in the right place where he wants you to be. So in the meantime, I think I'm in the perfect spot to be able to serve coaches, serve young coaches, and just, again, pay it forward. I love the fact that in Rising Coaches community, there's coaches at all levels. We have junior high coaches, high school coaches, grassroots coaches, AAU coaches, club coaches, professional G League coaches, high major, low major, and no one cares. Everybody can learn from each other. And I think there's such a great energy and synergy about what Rising Coach is about. It's been phenomenal to me and refreshing to me. I think I said this to you the other day. It's been a real light. It's a light in our industry because there just needs to be more positive. There's a lot of dark clouds that kind of hang around college basketball, and this is definitely a bright light and all of that.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you saying that, Brian, and I appreciate you understanding the vision pretty quickly. That is what it is. Like I know there's a lot of money to be made if you make something exclusive and rare and hard to be a part of, but that's not really what we're about. Our whole mission is to be inclusive, and this industry is hard enough, and it shouldn't have to be top secret to get an invite into the door. It should be an open door. And that's kind of what we're all about.
Yeah, it's definitely creating something. I give you guys all credit, yourself and Andy and Brandon and the guys I've met that are part of the creation of this, because it is hard enough as it is. And I think that's the part where people don't know. You kind of see the shiny suits, you see the ESPN highlights, you see the things on television, or they get glamorized. But the hardest parts of this business you don't see most of the time. And those parts are the parts that, for the people that are in it, you just want some encouragement along the way, because sometimes, there's plenty of guys that are in between jobs or not making much money, or there's young guys like Kupa. He's reached out to me. I've reached back out to him to encourage him, helped him prepare for some stuff he had going on his end. And I just think that's what this thing should be about. So I think Rising Coaches is creating a little bit of this momentum and this energy that is able to kind of spread through our industry. So I love being a part of it. It's been a blessing for me. It's right aligned in the right time for my career and my purpose. I think that's the biggest thing. Once I realized what you guys were about, and it aligned so much with who I already am naturally, that I was just took it and kind of ran with it, and just really have just kind of been in my own space. I don't really think about the branding aspect or the what is this doing for me aspect. I just think more than anything, I just get to really be myself. And whoever wants what I bring to the table, whether it's the opportunity to be a head coach, I've been blessed to interview for 4 different head coaching jobs at different levels. Been offered one, decided not to take it. It wasn't the best fit at the time, but I look forward to being a head coach one day and being a leader of a program at some point. But in the meantime, if I'm blessed to be an assistant, when I'm blessed to be an assistant again, I just know that whoever gets me or wherever I'm blessed to go, they'll know exactly what they're getting, and I'm not afraid to talk about my struggles, and I think, again, like you talked about, just being real and allowing yourself to be vulnerable. That's what this business doesn't teach you. It's like you got to hide all that stuff. You got to make it seem like you have everything together and everything's on point. And that's just not real life, and I think the more you can own who you are and what your character is and what you struggle with and what you're good at and what your purpose is, I think the easier it is to figure out where you fit in, and the industry makes it so hard sometimes because you're trying to figure out, where do I fit in, or this person's doing this, or this person's doing that, or this person gave me this advice. And not that you're necessarily looking next to you, because, we know comparison's a thief of joy, but it's hard not to when you're in this business, to look around and see what other people are doing, how they're advancing, because you're trying to figure out how to win. It's a competitive business, whether it's competitive for players, competitive for jobs, competitive for wins. So in that competition, you're trying to figure out where do you fit in. And I think the sooner you can figure out who you are, what you're about, what you stand for, the easier it is to align with those kind of people. And then the rest of it will take care of itself. You put in the work, and, there's so many guys, again, that have been on our Zooms along with yours that have just talked about where they started, whether it's high school, whether it's a totally different industry, whatever it may be. The beauty about this game and this industry is there's no discrimination of whether you're color, age. At any point in time, you can kind of get in this and find a niche and do something great.
For sure. Great stuff, man. Great stuff. All right. I appreciate you being on here, and Caleb as well.
Caleb, you got the Harden coming in, man. It's really strong.
Yeah, man. Gotta hit up a barber this weekend.
I like it, man. You might have to just grow it out. You might be the new beard, man.
I don't know. My mom's not feeling it, so I still gotta do what mom says. So we'll see.
Right. Amen to that.
That's great. Hey, last thing before we let you go, Brian. Give me some advice. The best advice that you've gotten or that you would give to somebody in this profession.
Yeah, I think similar to what I was just saying. Just run your own race. Run your own race. Figure out who you are, what you're about, what you stand for. And don't compromise, don't compromise that part of it. Work really hard, of course, because you love it. But I think less than the word work hard, just put your passion into it. If you love it, it's going to show, for Caleb to be doing what he's doing at his age. I mean, I don't know how much older I am, but I know I've been through a few things already. But for you to be doing what you're doing, I salute you. And any young people, just don't be afraid to be yourself. If that's outside of the box, own who you are all the way, run your race, and just stay true to yourself and don't compromise. I think that's the biggest thing. And then your passion and who you are will show, and everything else will align. And then just the last thing, just be great to people and be grateful for whatever you are, wherever you are. Because sometimes we look at the next spot, we think grass is greener, but be grateful for where your feet are, be great where your feet are, and just, again, enjoy the ride.
Great stuff, guys. Well, Brian, Caleb, we appreciate you hanging out with us this morning. Good job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good luck with the potty training too.
Yeah, thank you.